So the WWE has officially announced the main event of WrestleMania 35, and it happens to be the women, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. Wow, what's up y'all? Welcome back to the review space. So, this wasn't a shocker at all. I think most people anticipated or expected this one to be the actual main event of Mania 35. They actually announced it. Below is the full announcement of the first ever Women's Mania main event. This is according to WrestlingInc.com. WWE has confirmed that Raw Women's title triple threat will be the main event, and they said this. According to WWE, for the first time in WWE history, a women's match will be the main event at Mania as the Raw Women's title, featuring Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch, will take place on Sunday, April 7th in front of a capacity crowd at MetLife Stadium and streaming live on WWE Network around the world. Ronda Rousey is the current Raw Women's champ, Olympic medalist, the first female UFC champion, and the first woman to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. She's also an actress and New York Times best-selling author. Charlotte Flair is a 7-time champion in WWE, a former Division I volleyball player, philanthropist, and author. She is the daughter of 2-time WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair. Becky Lynch is a 2019 Women's Royal Rumble winner, a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, and was named Wrestler of the Year by both Sports Illustrated and CBS Sports in 2018. She was also the first woman to ever top ESPN's WWE Power Rankings. At WrestleMania 32 in 2016, WWE rebranded the Divas division to Women's division and unveiled a new Women's Championship title. Since that time, the women's evolution has placed a greater spotlight on WWE's female superstars, including more prominent storylines and deeper character development that showcases their athleticism, charisma, and star power. Last October, WWE held its first ever all-women's pay-per-view event, Evolution, in front of a sold-out crowd. Actually, they didn't say sold out, but it said sold crowd, and millions more watching on WWE Network. That's the statement, I guess, from WWE, but this particular thread right now, as I'm looking at it, has over 700 comments, 702 to be exact. Let's go check it out, some of the controversy, because you can almost guarantee that a lot of people are either going to be complaining about this, making fun of this, or having their thoughts, their doubts on this particular event. Let's go check out some of these, clowns that's basically against this. Because I've already spoken about my personal opinion. I already made a video about, the women main eventing Mania 35. I generally agreed with it on the fact that they really didn't have that many stars at the moment. And I like Becky Lynch and Ronda happen to be two of the more, the more popular stars at the moment. So it's not like there's a huge choice or a huge selection of different people. So to me, it's not a big deal that the women end up main eventing. I don't think it's a big deal at all. I don't think it's a problem as long as they can deliver on that final match to close off the event. I don't think it's a huge problem as long as it's a great, final match. Let's go check out what some of the other commenters had to say. According to Billy Walker, he says, it's a good decision given Ronda's star power, transcending to the mainstream audience, and it has no doubt been the best built match so far in the card. It's been by no means perfect, but you can see Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over it. I think a lot of people has talked about how it's lost a lot of steam, it's lost a lot of momentum, and I do agree with that. When they card out Becky almost every other week and have her basically go after Ronda or have her interfere in a match that's going on between, some kind of Ronda or Charlotte match, and she's always having some kind of a pull-apart brawl, basically, and she's being taken away by some hired authorities, hired like police and cops, etc., it gets kind of repetitive after a while, especially at this day and age. In the 2010s, it's 2019. We're right in the middle of the golden age of social media. I would actually say that we're oversaturated with social media and a ton of smartphones and social media networking and from Twitter to Instagram, all these different things, YouTube, constant access to the internet and constant access and immediate access to news right away. Most fans, they automatically see Becky Lynch. They can just go on the internet, go on YouTube and see Ronda Rousey, and they can replay these segments over and over and over again. One of the biggest differences between the late 90s, when I was growing up, generation, and even the early 2000s to a certain degree, was that we didn't have constant access and immediate access to social media right away. Not everybody was carrying around a smartphone, having basically a small computer in their pocket, which is basically a smartphone, or even a laptop, right at their fingertips, at their immediate disposal. So not everybody can just look everything up online and just look and watch YouTube videos. YouTube didn't even start until like 2005, and it didn't get hot until like mid-late 05 to 2006. So YouTube was not even a thought back in the 90s and early mid-2000s. It wasn't even a thing. So you can just go online and stream a bunch of videos and have it basically replay what happened on last night's Monday Night Raw segment between some of the wrestlers, whether it's a big event between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, or The Rock cutting a promo against whoever his opponent is, Triple H or whoever. You couldn't replay it right away. You had to actually watch it on TV. For the most part, you just had to watch it, and hopefully there was they would air a replay on TV, later that week, so you could see at least some of what's going on. There was a time when if you didn't watch wrestling regularly on a weekly basis on TV, you would just miss out on what's happening. Unless you could. There's a few people that taped. They taped television programs. They would have a VHS tape, I guess, and they would record it from the TV. But even that, like, most people didn't do that. I certainly didn't back in the day. And you didn't have YouTube back then. You didn't have Twitter back then. You didn't have instant videos back then that you could just watch it immediately as they happen online. So, I think that's oversaturated a lot of what's going on in wrestling. Any kind of like WWE event, that's a big deal. And even something like a Becky, targeting Ronda, targeting Charlotte, having these weekly matches, it's almost like they're overdoing it. They're overexposing it. That's why it lost so much momentum, because that's the problem, is that they put it out too much every single week. They have some kind of segment between Ronda or Becky, and they're having a pull-apart brawl. They're having some kind of segments in the ring together or outside of the ring. And so the fans are like, well, we get to see this over and over again anyway on YouTube, and we can rewatch it over and over again on their smartphones. And so it's oversaturated. People just replay it over and over and over again. That's why people get so tired of seeing Becky Lynch now. They see Becky with the crutches or whatever, hobbling to the ring again, and like we've seen it a million times already. Whereas if this was back in like 1999, 1998, 1997, maybe even early mid 2000s, you didn't have that immediate access to the internet. Or you didn't have that instant, like YouTube instant gratification of watching a clip of what's going on in wrestling. So it's oversaturated. There's way too much of it, and you can, unfortunately, this is part of the reason why the internet has ruined wrestling in a lot of ways. The internet ruined wrestling. Because the internet made it so accessible and way too easy to keep replaying over and over and over again. And to be fair too to the audiences and all that, the WWE hasn't kept it fresh. They never kept the storyline fresh. They just kind of they just kept it generic. They just kept it repetitive. They didn't become like way too creative with it. They didn't add like different cool things to kind of make it hot and make it to add to the momentum. All they really did was take away from it by making it repetitive. They didn't add any new creative ideas or, hey, let's go hold off on Becky Lynch. Let's keep her away from WWE for like the next couple of weeks at least until WrestleMania, or maybe even just a go-home show, have her come back, and then finally, she finally goes after Becky and Charlotte. I actually had an idea, and I was just thinking about this just a couple of days ago. I was like, it would have been way better if they actually went completely in a different direction, building up Becky Lynch. What I would have done is I would have taken Becky, and when she was just getting hot as the man character, and so this might be around, I want to say maybe like late 2018, so maybe around maybe November or December, something like that, maybe December. and then heading into January 2018, earlier this year, what I would have done was have something happen to Becky where, she ends up falling, or she ends up getting maybe struck with some kind of attack from Ronda or Charlotte or whoever, and she ends up going into basically a small little coma. She goes into a coma, she wakes up from it, and she suffers from amnesia. She suffers some kind of amnesia type of symptoms where she basically forgets everything or almost everything before she started the man gimmick. So what happens is she even forgets that, hey, I am a really, really good pro wrestler. And so what happens is Becky and Charlotte, not Becky, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte, they end up brainwashing and trying to brainwash Becky into becoming basically their personal slave. They end up trying to really manipulate her and try, in the middle of her amnesia episode, and she's completely forgotten everything. She doesn't realize, she doesn't remember that she's supposed to be this really cool anti-hero, the man character, and she's completely forgotten all about that. And she's like, where am I? What am I doing here? Who am I? And so then you have Becky and Charlotte, and probably more so Charlotte because she's more of the opportunistic, evil, devious heel, whereas Ronda Rousey is more of a tough MMA fighter. But you can have both of them kind of try to play Becky Lynch into becoming their servants, their maid. She kind of becomes you can have these fun segments as the weeks progress into WrestleMania. I was thinking, you could put her in a maid outfit. Have an excuse to put her in a sexy maid outfit, like a French maid, really sexy outfit, and put her in that. And then Charlotte would be sitting in her fancy living room at home. She'd be chilling, and she's sipping on some wine. She's sipping on some wine and watching video clips and highlights of herself, basically, because she's Charlotte and she's very arrogant. She's supposed to be the arrogant daughter of Ric Flair, right? So she's sitting at home like a devious, evil, villainous female character. She's sipping on some wine or whatever, and then she runs out of wine. So she's sipping on a wine, but she runs out of her drink, and then she looks at her empty glass of wine, and she goes. She kind of taps on a bell, like ding, 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 ding. And it's like, servant, or Miss Maid, Miss Becky Maid, I've ran out of wine. Can you please refill my glass of wine? Can you come over here, please? Ding, 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 ding. And she would ring a little bell. And so in comes Becky Lynch with her little sexy maid outfit on, and it looks completely hot. It looks like, just a maid outfit on. She looks totally very, very beautiful and revealing, and so you can have that kind of titillation, a little bit of that sexiness added to the TV show. So of course the crowd, the TV audience will be like, oh, they're marking out, giving it give a good pop to the crowd, like they just saw, Sable walking out with her thong for the first time, ooh, that's hot. But you have Becky Lynch completely brainwashed, completely not oblivious, but almost like how Angelina Love, if you guys remember back in TNA, I want to say around maybe 2011 or 2012 when Winter, she ended up brainwashing Angelina Love and she put her almost into like a walking coma kind of zombified state. She had this blank look on her face, a blank expression, and she looked like she was completely brainwashed by Winter. So that was that's kind of like where I'm thinking this idea is going, where Becky Lynch is completely at the mind control of Charlotte. So she's, hey, Becky, why don't you fix me a sandwich? And then Becky goes off, it's like, right away, sir, right away, ma'am. And she's got to have that Irish accent, right away, ma'am, right away, Charlotte, yeah, right away, my queen. Obviously, I can't do a proper Irish accent. I'm sorry for that. I gotta apologize. I got a horrible Becky Lynch accent. But anyway, so you basically have Charlotte controlling Becky Lynch. She's basically using Becky as a servant because she's got amnesia. She can't remember who she was. She ended up getting, let's say she got roundhouse kicked by Ronda Rousey. And so she's got amnesia. And so all these weeks, leading up to WrestleMania, so February, March, and heading into early April, Becky is completely brainwashed by Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey's kind of the same way. Ronda Rousey looks at Becky as like, what's going on with you? What's happening here? And so Ronda Rousey is also trying to get Becky Lynch to do what she wants to do. Like, hey, here you go, Becky, go carry my bags. And so you have Becky carrying Ronda Rousey's bags to the ring and giving her a massage. Right after a match, it's like, hey, Becky Lynch, my woman servant, female servant, give me a massage right now. And so she kind of sits on a chair, just chilling, relaxing, or she's kind of sitting on a one of those massage tables with her stomach down on the table, and she's just kind of chilling, relaxing. And you have Becky Lynch, again in a kind of a sexy outfit, in the sexy massage outfit, just giving Ronda Rousey a back rub kind of thing. And so this is what you do with Becky Lynch. You kind of put her in these very slavish positions, make her look like a servant, a female servant, and have her basically be at the beck and call of both Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Now, finally, after weeks and weeks of all basically this torture, this brainwashed state, and Becky Lynch has no idea. She's basically just doing whatever Ronda and Charlotte is telling her to do. So now, finally, leading up to the go-home show before WrestleMania, it gets to a point where you have Charlotte and Charlotte and Ronda Rousey arguing back and forth. They get into kind of a physical thing where they're going, hey, that's my servant. No, that's my servant. They kind of have an argument to kind of, they're trying to pull apart, they're trying to pull Becky Lynch kind of, Becky Lynch is kind of in between, and she's being pulled apart by both Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Like, hey, that's my servant. Hey, that's my slave. No, that's my slave. No, I got her first. No, it's like, no, I'm the one who put her into a coma and gave her that amnesia. It's like, no, but I'm the one who started brainwashing her first. Like, she's my servant. She's on my side. Basically trying to compete. Charlotte and Ronda, both of them trying to compete which one gets to keep Becky as their slave, as their servant, heading into the WrestleMania 35 main event. Because at this point, the idea is that Charlotte and Charlotte and Ronda are the ones that's heading into Mania as the only two people competing for the Raw Women's title. So it's going to be Charlotte against Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. And then Becky Lynch can kind of be like the questionable servant. Like, which side is Becky Lynch going to side with? Is it going to be Charlotte or is it going to be Ronda Rousey? And so, of course, the fans are also like really into this. The fans are like really invested. Like, oh my God, like what's going to happen with Becky Lynch? Like, she's not even the man anymore. She's been doing this for 2 months straight. Like, she's been basically the slave or the woman servant of Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. She's completely like brainwashed. Like. So the fans are crazy about it. They want her to wake up. They want her to snap out of it. And so finally, in the middle of this confrontation where they're trying to pull Becky, basically tear her in half. Basically, they're trying to Charlotte is grabbing one arm of Becky, and then Ronda is grabbing the other arm, and they're trying to pull Becky. Like, hey, that's mine. That's my servant. No, that's my servant. Finally. Becky, she ends up either falling down or she ends up hitting her head on something, like she accidentally, but just by accident, maybe she ends up tripping on the floor and she ends up hitting her head or on some like surface on the wall or something like that. And so now she kind of wakes up, she stands up. And you still have Charlotte and Ronda Rousey yelling at each other, hey, that's mine, that's my servant, that's my Becky Lynch, no, that's my Becky Lynch, that's my female servant, she's mine, she's mine. And so Becky finally looks between Ronda and Charlotte, and she's looking back and forth, and now she's got this look on her face like, wait a minute. And then you can tell, just the look on her face, she's waking up. She's realizing, she's starting to remember. She's starting to remember everything that's been going on. She's starting to remember her man character, her man gimmick. Like, oh yeah, I'm a really, really good wrestler. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to be the anti-hero, tough, female character. I'm the man. I'm supposed to be the man. That's who I am. That's me. That's Becky Lynch. The man, Becky Lynch. And you can see just the look on her face, just you could see the you know the brain working again, and just her memory remembering that she is the man Becky Lynch, and kind of remembering what she had to go through, what Charlotte and Ronda Rousey made her go through, made her become a servant, made her, give her massages and rub their backs and carry their bags and, become a servant, fetch them food and wine and etc. All these different things that she had to do, these humiliating things and all the, outfits that she had to wear. So now you got Becky Lynch waking up finally and going, oh my God. And so finally now she strikes Charlotte, boom! She smacks her across the face and gives her a right hook and a left hook, boom, to Becky Lynch. And now she's going back and forth between Becky now Becky's going back and forth between Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. She's attacking both of them. She's striking both of them. Boom, boom. It's a brawl. It's a big brawl. And all of a sudden she's like, I remember now. You both of you. I remember both of you. And so now you finally have Becky. She's back. And so now the crowd is going crazy. Like, yes, Becky Lynch, the man is back. So the crowd, big pop from the crowd, they're going nuts. You know what I'm saying? They realize that Becky Lynch has remembered everything. And she's like, I remember. I won the Royal Rumble. Because at this point, let's say that she ended up winning the Royal Rumble anyway. So she ended up winning the Rumble. And let's say that she got the amnesia after the Royal Rumble. I mentioned maybe, sometime after the Rumble. Like not too long after the Rumble happened. Let's say she got the amnesia. That's so maybe late January, early February. So February, March, a couple of months of having this amnesia. And she's like, oh yes, I'm Becky Lynch. That's right. I am the Royal Rumble winner of 2019. I won this. And I am going to go to WrestleMania and face both of you. Both Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. And so boom, there you go. You got it. You have... You know what I'm saying? Now you're set. And so what a great go-home segment for the people to go crazy over. And of course, those couple of months where she had amnesia and we got to see her in sexy outfits, a sexy maid outfit or a sexy massager outfit or just a sexy like a assistant intern outfit or whatever kind of like a waitress outfit, like a sexy waitress. These different kind of things that made her, put her in a position of like, oh, yeah, Becky Lynch can be sexy too. It basically just an excuse to put her into a, kind of a creative way to put her into a, different like kind of cute outfits, but also give her a reason to kind of be even more angry and be more mad and feel even more, she has to get that revenge on Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, So I think that would have been a really cool idea. And I was just thinking about that just like a couple of days ago. I was like, that would have been a sweet idea. Obviously, they never went along with it. I think it would have been incredible, absolutely incredible. But what they did instead was basically just this generic. I'm gonna go, keep targeting Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. I'm gonna keep going to the ring, hobbling on my crutches, wear a reverse Kill Bill outfit or a reverse. I guess also a kind of a tribute to Bruce Lee, because that's really what it was that Kill Bill movie was based on inspired a little bit by the Bruce Lee outfit from the 1970s, I think. So but anyway, that's what it was. It became so generic and it became so repetitive that most weeks it just didn't matter anymore. It was like, yeah, I know they're gonna probably get a main event, what I'm saying, Becky going up against Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Like, yeah, I get it. We're just waiting now. We're just waiting. It almost feels like they're stalling. It feels like they're stalling. That's the big issue that I have, is that, yeah, it's lost a lot of momentum. And obviously they never really went full creative with it. I think my idea is just way, way, way better. That would have been a much more interesting thing to basically give Becky Lynch amnesia, make her forget just about everything, make her forget that she won the Women's Royal Rumble, make her forget about the man character, and then have her become the female servant of Charlotte and Ronda Rousey for a couple of months. That would have been interesting. And then have her finally on the go-home show, the final episode of Raw, heading into WrestleMania 35. Have her wake up from the amnesia, and have her remember everything, and finally, start remembering that, hey, I'm gonna face both of you. I don't care. I remember now, and both of you SOBs are gonna pay. You're gonna pay. Both of you are gonna pay. You hear me? I'm Becky Lynch. Not just because I had amnesia or whatever it is. So anyway, yeah, that's my personal opinion. That's my thoughts on this particular main event. Anyway, I'm glad that they have a little main event. The women are finally getting a main event at Mania. It's been a long time coming, I think. It's cool. I don't think it's not a problem, because I do think that Becky, Ronda, and even Charlotte are big enough stars to at least carry a good match. I think it is going to be a good match. I think it is going to deliver. And to anybody that's got a problem with it, it's the first time. And I doubt that they're going to have too many other Mania main events. Maybe every now and then. Maybe every maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe not even that frequently. This is very rare. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen very often where, every year they got to have a women's match to kind of close off WrestleMania. And by the way, we don't even know. I mean, I guess you could say that this is going to be the final match, but I'm still not 100% sure that this is in fact the last match on the card. I get that they announced it, that this is the main event, but I keep hearing that term co-main event. It's a co-main event, you know what I mean? It's going to co-main event. Yeah, it's going to co-main event, but is it going to be really the final match? We still haven't really, we still don't really fully know. We have to wait and actually see the actual event and see if they actually will, close off the show, close off the final, the final segments of this WrestleMania. So anyway, that's it for this episode of The Review Space. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell button for the latest notifications. And until next time, peace.